Hello students, I welcome you all once again on my YouTube channel, that is 11-12 Chemistry by Diya Jeswani. And in today's video, we will continuing the same chapter, that is the solution. In the last video, we have seen the solution part 1, in which we have covered the introductory part, then the different ways of expressing the concentration, the types of solution, solubility, factors affecting solubility, and Henry's law. And we have seen some numericals on Henry's law also. Okay. Now, in today's session, we will continuing with this solution as solution part 2. And in today's session, we will see the vapor pressure, then the vapor pressure of a solution in two types, in liquid type of solution and in solid in liquid type of solution. Then we are also going to see the ideal and the non-ideal solutions and the different type of deviations that takes place in the non-ideal solutions. Okay. So in the today's session, we will be seeing this vapor pressure of solution of liquid in liquid and solid in liquid, then the Raoult's law and ideal and non-ideal solutions. Okay. So first start with the vapor pressure. Now vapor pressure, as I said, the word itself gives the meaning. Here also the vapor pressure itself gives the meaning. Vapor pressure means the pressure exerted by the vapor. So this vapor pressure is nothing but it can be defined as the pressure formed by the vapors of the liquid over the surface of the liquid. Okay, the pressure created by the vapors of liquid or a solid over the surface of liquid or a solid, that is called as vapor pressure. And also this pressure is formed in thermodynamic equilibrium state in a container at a certain temperature. Okay, now this pressure is formed in thermodynamic equilibrium state in a closed container at a certain temperature. Let us understand both of these definitions. First, let us move that vapor pressure can be defined as the pressure formed by the vapors of the liquid or the solid over the surface of the liquid. This can be explained in a very beautiful manner from this diagram. Now in this diagram, you can see that if I am taking a water in a container, okay, the water contains many molecules. These circular parts are nothing but the water molecules. Now this water has a volatile nature. So it is going to evaporate when it is kept in an open container. Okay. Now if I close this container or if I seal this big container of the water vapor, then what will happen? The molecules that are going to escape from this container will move here in the jar or in the sealed container. So each of these molecules, when it will move in this free space, either it will collide with each other or it will collide with the surfaces of this container. So whenever there is some collision, a pressure is applied, and hence the different type of collisions, like the collision between the two molecules or by the molecules over the surface, creates a pressure, and that pressure is nothing but the vapor pressure. Okay. Now in the second point, we have said that this pressure is formed in thermodynamic equilibrium state in a closed container at a certain temperature. Now let us break this word thermodynamic. Thermodynamic can be broken down as thermal and dynamic. Now first let us understand what do we mean by dynamic equilibrium. So initially, when the molecules from this water are getting evaporated, the rate of evaporation will be higher. Means the molecules getting converted into the gaseous phase, initially the rate of conversion of molecule into the gaseous phase will be higher. Okay. And the rate of condensation. Condensation means again the molecule getting converted back into the water or into the liquid phase. I should not say water, I should say into the liquid phase. Now here the water have been converted into the gaseous phase and had formed the vapor. Again now condensation is the process where these vapors will get converted back into the liquid state, liquid water molecule. So this rate of condensation is very slow. Okay. Evaporation is faster initially because maximum molecules are getting evaporated as we keep the water in an open container. And the rate of condensation is very slow. But slowly, when the number of the molecules in this container will go on increasing, number of the gaseous molecule in this container will go on increasing, they will start to collide with each other. As you can see in this figure, they will start to collide with each other. And now due to this collision, what will happen? The molecules will collide together and will get converted back into the liquid phase, means the condensation will start. Initially, the rate of evaporation is high and rate of condensation is slow. But as the time passes, the rate of condensation increases, and a time will come when the rate of evaporation and rate of condensation becomes equal. Means the number of molecules getting converted into gas phase will be equal to the number of molecules getting converted back into the liquid phase. That is, vaporization rate becomes equal to the condensation rate. This point, when such a point is achieved where both the rate are equal, that is called as dynamic equilibrium. That is called as dynamic equilibrium. Now let us understand what do we mean by thermodynamic equilibrium. Thermal means related to heat. So we are saying that this pressure is formed in thermodynamic equilibrium state in a closed container at a certain temperature. Means to maintain the heat or maintain the temperature, we have to keep the container in a closed state where there will be no exchange of heat, and we have to maintain a proper temperature. So the condition will become thermodynamic. So this vapor pressure is generally formed under the thermodynamic equilibrium state in a closed container at a certain temperature. So let us understand through this vapor pressure through one beautiful video. Now what happens here? I have taken a container in which I have taken a water. What will happen? This water molecules over the surface will get converted into the gaseous phase, will be converted into the vapors, or we can say they are getting converted into the gaseous phase. And these gaseous molecules or these gas molecules can move here and there. But if I seal this box, if I seal this container, then the gaseous molecules will be present here only, and all these molecules are going to either they will be colliding with each other or they will be colliding with the surfaces of the container, and hence this will exert a pressure throughout the container, and this pressure is nothing but the vapor pressure. And this vapor pressure exists only when the system is under the thermodynamic equilibrium, means the rate of evaporation and the rate of condensation takes place at the same time, is equal. The rate of condensation and rate of evaporation is equal, and that too at a certain constant temperature. So this is how the vapor pressure can be easily defined. Now, we have to study this vapor pressure for different types of the liquids, for different types of solutions, binary solutions, for different types of binary solutions. Now, binary means in which two components are present, solute as well as solvent. Generally, I should not say solute and solvent. It contains of two components. Okay, both may be in the equal quantity. One may be in the major or the other may be in the minor quantity, but there are two components in a solution. So we will study the vapor pressure of binary solutions. Which type of binary solutions? The first is liquid in liquid, in which both the components are in liquid phase, and that too specially both are volatile liquids. Volatile liquids which can evaporate very easily at a normal room temperature or a very lower temperature. They evaporate very easily. Such liquids are called as volatile liquids, and they are also completely miscible. Means both the liquids are completely miscible. They do not form different layers like oil and water. So they are completely miscible and are volatile. So we are going to study the vapor pressure for such liquids which are volatile and completely miscible. And the second part which we have to study is the solution solids in liquid. Means here the liquid will be the solvent and the solute that we are going to add to it is a solid. But the vapor pressure of this type of solution we will see in the colligative properties when we will study further the colligative properties in the next video. There we are going to see the vapor pressure of such type of solutions. Today we will emphasize only on liquid in liquid. Now liquid in liquid. So I am saying that we have to study the vapor pressure of liquid in liquid solution. So let us see it. Now suppose if I have taken two solutions, okay, two solutions, solution liquid A and liquid B, and both of these are suppose the volatile liquids. Volatile liquids means they get evaporated very easily at a lower temperature. So when I mix these two solutions, and take in a container, then both are going to evaporate, and the vapors of both the molecules, suppose this is the molecule A, red color is the molecule A and blue is the molecule B, then both of these molecules will exert some pressure over the surface of the liquid, and this is nothing but the vapor pressure, and we have to calculate this vapor pressure. Now, but in this case, both the liquids are creating some pressure. Liquid A molecules that are blue in color, that are creating some pressure. Again, the red molecules that are belonging to liquid B, they are also creating some pressure. Now, out of these two solutions, one may be more volatile, another may be less volatile. The substance which is more volatile will give higher amount of vapors than the one which is of lower volatile in nature. So the different type of vapor pressure will be created by the two liquids. So the amount of vapor pressure created by liquid A will be called as the partial vapor pressure of liquid A, and the amount of pressure exerted by the liquid B will be called as the partial vapor pressure of the liquid B. Now, the partial pressure of these two components in the solution are related with the mole fraction. They are related to their mole fraction in the solution. And this relationship of how the vapor pressure is related to the mole fraction of the two solutes or the two liquids is given by the Raoult's law. Raoult's law explains us how the vapor pressure of these components are related to their mole fraction. So let us see that. Now, according to the Raoult's law, the partial vapor pressure of any volatile component of a solution is equal to the vapor pressure of the pure component multiplied by its mole fraction in the solution. Means what he is trying to say, that if we study the vapor pressure of these two liquids, if we are going to study the partial vapor pressure created by these two liquids, then it says that the partial vapor pressure of, suppose the component A we are considering, so component A is equal to the vapor pressure of the pure component liquid A into its mole fraction. Now, vapor pressure of pure component means if we are not mixing these two, then the liquid A will have some vapor pressure that will be purely its vapor pressure. If I am going to evaporate only this liquid, then it will create a vapor pressure, and that is called as the vapor pressure of the pure component. So the partial pressure of any volatile component is equal to the vapor pressure of pure component multiplied by its mole fraction. And mole fraction means, we have seen in the last session, mole fraction is calculated by dividing molar mass with mass with the molar mass. Okay, so according to Raoult's law, the partial pressure of any volatile component is equal to the vapor pressure of the pure component multiplied by its mole fraction. let us derive it. Suppose if I'm considering that P1 is the partial pressure of component 1. Okay, let us consider that P1 is the partial pressure of component 1 and P2 is the partial pressure of component 2. Now, according to the Raoult's law, what's Raoult's law is saying that the partial pressure of a component means P1 is equal to the pressure, partial pressure, vapor pressure of pure component. So vapor pressure of pure component P1 naught. I'm denoting it by P1 naught. This is the vapor pressure of pure component. Means when the two components are not mixed, it will have the different vapor pressure as compared to the one when it is mixed. So this is P1 naught is nothing but the vapor pressure of pure component. So the partial pressure of component 1 is equals to the vapor pressure of the pure component multiplied by its mole fraction in the solution. Let x1 be the mole fraction of the component 1. Then P1 is equals to P1 naught into x1. This is nothing but the Raoult's law. Now, this is for component 1. Similarly, for component 2, P2, if P2 is the partial pressure, then P2 will be equals to P2 naught, where again P2 naught is the vapor pressure of the pure component 2 into its mole fraction x2. Okay, let us assume this as equation 1. This is our equation 1 and this is our equation 2. So, according to the Dalton's law, and we know that according to the Dalton's law, the total pressure over the solution will be the sum of all the partial pressures of all the component present in the solution. So P total is nothing but P1 plus P2, means the partial pressure of component 1 plus partial pressure of component 2 makes the total pressure over the solution. So from this two equation, if I equate this, P1 is equals to P1 naught into x1 and P2 is equals to P2 naught into x2, I will get P total is equals to P1 naught into x1 plus P2 naught into x2. And also for the binary solutions, there are two components. So the sum of mole fractions of all the component is always 1. So in this case, there are only two components. Therefore, mole fraction of first component plus the mole fraction of second component will be equal to 1. So x1 plus x2 is equals to 1. And if I take out x1 from it, then x1 will become 1 minus x2. Now let us substitute this x1 in equation number 3. So P total will be equals to P1 naught into x1. In place of x1, I am substituting 1 minus x2 plus P2 naught into x2. So this is nothing but the expression for the partial vapor pressure according to the Raoult's law. Now this is our, let us solve it further. So we have got P total is equals to P1 naught minus P1 naught into x2 plus P2 naught into x2. So if we see this equation, in this equation x2 is common. So let us keep it as common and in bracket we will take P2 naught minus P1 naught plus P1 naught. So our expression becomes P total is equals to P2 naught minus P1 naught into x2 plus P1 naught. Now, if we compare this equation with this equation, y is equals to mx plus c. We all know that this is an equation of the straight line. So, if we compare this, P total is equals to P2 naught minus P1 naught into x2 plus P1 naught means y is equals to mx plus c. Yes, because P2 naught and P1 naught are the vapor pressures of pure component and that will remain constant. So these two are constant. Again, P1 naught is also constant. So P2 minus P1 naught will give us the slope. And if I plot a graph, let me show you. This we have studied in your lower classes. Y is equals to mx plus c is an equation for the straight line. This type of line you get. Y is equals to mx plus c, where y is the y-axis, x-axis, the variables on the x-axis. M gives us the slope of the line, pass line, and c is the constant. And y is equals to mx plus c gives us a straight line where c is the intercept. Plus c means the intercept. So if I compare this equation, this is also of the same type, y is equals to mx plus c. So if I'm going to plot a graph between this y and x, means P total and x2, then I will get a graph like this. This is my vapor pressure P total, and if I take the mole fraction x2 over the x-axis, then I will get a straight line with the intercept P1. Here the intercept is P1 naught. Okay, so we get a graph like this. Also, from these two equations, that is P1 naught, P1 is equals to P1 naught into x1 and P2 is equals to P2 naught into x2. If we compare these two equations with this type, this will become of the type y is equals to mx. Why? Because in this equation, see, P1 is equals to P1 naught into x1. So y is equals to m into x. Again here P1 naught is constant. So y is equals to mx. This equation become y is equals to mx type. And we know that y is equals to mx is line passes through the, we get a straight line passing through the origin. So in this case also, if we are going to compare this, then we get a straight line passing through the origin. This is for the P1. P1 is equals to P1 naught into x1, and this is P2 naught into x2, and this is P1 naught into x1. So we are getting the two lines. If I'm combining the three graph together, and we get a graph like this where we are taking vapor pressure on the y-axis and mole fraction on the x-axis. So we get a graph like this if we plot a graph against P total versus mole fraction. So this is nothing but the Raoult's law, and the Raoult's law had given these expressions for the solutions having volatile nature. When two volatile liquids are mixed together, then the expression, or we can say that the vapor pressure of a solution will be equal to the vapor pressure of the pure component into the mole fraction, and we get a graph like this. But this is all about the vapor pressure in the solution, the partial vapor pressure that is created in the solution. Now what about the vapor pressure created over the solution? Means if I want to calculate the composition of the vapor phase, then the expression was given by Dalton, and Dalton says that the composition of the vapor in equilibrium with the solution can be determined by Dalton's law of partial pressure. And what he is saying, Dalton says that if we consider y1 and y2 as the mole fraction of the two components that we are taking, then the P1 means the partial pressure of the first component will be equals to y1, P1 is equals to y1 into P, where P is the total vapor pressure, and the vapor pressure by the second component will be equals to y2 into total vapor pressure P. So this P1 and P2 are the partial vapor pressures of the two components, and this P is the total vapor pressure of the pure component. So this law was given by Dalton's law. So combining both these laws, we can solve the numericals. Okay. So let us see the numerical on it. Now, in this case, the vapor pressure of the pure liquid is the vapor pressure of the pure liquid A and B are 450 millimeter Hg and 700 millimeter Hg respectively at 350 Kelvin. And you have to find the composition of liquid and vapor if the total vapor pressure is 600 millimeter Hg. Okay. So in this case, what is given? In this case, the vapor pressure of the pure component A and B have been given as 450 and 700 millimeter Hg, and you have been asked to find out the composition of liquid and vapor. So how we are going to find out the composition of liquid? The liquid composition can be found out by the Raoult's law, and the composition of the vapor can be found out by the Dalton's law. So let's apply it. Now first, let us compute out what is given in this numerical. So first P1 naught, that is the vapor pressure of the pure component A, is given to be 450 millimeter Hg. Then the P2, that is the vapor pressure of the second component, vapor pressure of the second component is given to be 700 millimeter Hg, and the total vapor pressure is 600 millimeter Hg. And we know that according to the Raoult's law, the P total pressure is equals to P2 naught minus P1 naught into X2 plus P1 naught, where X2 is the mole fraction of the component 2. Let us substitute all these values in the equation. We get P total pressure, that is 600 millimeter Hg, will be equals to P2 naught, means the vapor pressure of the pure component 2 is 700 millimeter Hg minus the vapor pressure of the pure vapor pressure of the first component, that is 450 millimeter Hg. So 700 minus 450 into X2 plus P1 naught. So P1 naught is again 450, so 450 millimeter Hg. Now let us solve it out. 600 millimeter Hg will be equals to, since 700 minus 450 is 250, so 250 X2 plus 450. Now if I keep this 450, if I take this 450 on the left hand side, then it becomes 600 minus 450, that is equals to 250 into X2. And therefore X2 will be equals to 600 minus 450 is 150, 150 upon 250, that comes out to be 0.6. And since we know that the mole fraction of all the components in a solution is always equal to 1. So according to that, X1 plus X2 will be equals to 1. Therefore, X1 will be equals to 1 minus X2. And that is 1 minus 0.6, that comes out to be 0.4. So the composition of liquid, if the total vapor pressure is 600 millimeter Hg, is 0.6 and 0.4. Now let us find out the vapor, composition of the vapor, if the total vapor pressure is 600 millimeter Hg. So the composition of A and B in the vapors will let it consider to be as Y1 and Y2. Then according to the Dalton's law, P1 is equals to Y1 into P, P2 is equals to Y2 into P. So P1 will be equals to P1 naught into 1, and this we have already seen in our Raoult's law, that P1 is equals to P1 naught into X1 and P2 is equals to P2 naught into X2. Now let us substitute the values in this equation. So if we solve this equation, P1 is equals to Y1 into P, then Y1 will be equals to P1 upon P, and P1 is nothing but P1 naught into X1, because we have been given directly the value of P1. So we will take the value of P1 naught into X1. So P1 naught into X1 upon P. P1 naught is 450 millimeter Hg. X1 we have calculated out as 0.4 upon the total pressure is 600 millimeter Hg. So if we solve this, then we get 0.3. So the Y1 will be equals to 0.3. And again, Y1 plus Y2 is 1. Therefore, Y2 will be equals to 1 minus Y1. And hence it becomes 1 minus 0.3, that is equals to 0.7. Therefore, the composition of the liquids, the composition in liquid is 0.4 and 0.6, whereas in the vapor is 0.7 and 0.3. So in this way, we can solve the numericals. Okay. So let us move further. Now, this vapor pressure, this is the vapor pressure given by the Raoult's law. Now, Raoult has divided the solutions into two types. That is the ideal solution and the non-ideal solution. Ideal solution. You all have heard about the word ideal before also. Okay. What do we mean by ideal? Yes, ideal means perfect. So, the solution which is perfect. But perfect in what sense? Perfect means the solution which is obeying the Raoult's law. The solution that obeys the Raoult's law in any condition. Generally, when we use the word ideal, we use for the persons. And when we say to the person an ideal person, when he is ideal or when he behaves in an ideal manner, a perfect manner in each and every situation, then we call it a perfect person or the ideal person. So, similar way, the solutions which will obey the Raoult's law will be called as the ideal solution. Okay, and it should obey the Raoult's law in all conditions, means over an entire range of concentration. Then that solution will be called as the ideal solution. And non-ideal solution, The one which do not obeys the Raoult's law is called as a non-ideal solution. So let's see in detail. Now, first let us see the ideal solution. So the ideal solution is the one which obeys the Raoult's law over the entire range of concentration is said to be the ideal solution. Now, what are the conditions of the Raoult's law? What does it say? What it should behave? How the solution should behave? So, according to the Raoult's law, the solution will be ideal only if delta H of mixing is 0 and delta V of mixing is also 0. The first condition is delta H mixing should be 0. Now, what does this mean? Delta H mixing should be 0. Delta H is nothing but the enthalpy, and enthalpy is nothing but heat content. Heat content means whenever we are mixing the two solutions, the the change in the heat means either if we talk about the exothermic or endothermic reaction, then there should not be any heat exchange between the system and the surrounding, or there should not be any heat exchange. The temperature of the solution should remain constant. Delta H of mixing should be equal to 0. Secondly, it says that delta V of mixing should also be 0. Delta V means change in the volume. Now, it means that if we are going to mix, suppose if I am mixing 50 ml of hexane and 50 ml of heptane. If I am mixing these two solutions, then the total volume should be 100, neither less than 100 nor more than 100. So that is the delta V should be 0. There should not be change in the initial volume and the final volume. So delta V of mixing is 0 for an ideal solution. Then the third condition is that the magnitude of interaction between AB, AA and BB should be same. Now, what does this mean? Now, we know that when we are mixing the two solutions, when we are mixing the two liquids, not solutions, when we are mixing the two liquids, suppose hexane, the molecules of the hexanes are suppose A type and the molecules of heptane are suppose B type. Now, in this solution, what happens? There are different type of interactions present. The molecules of the heptane are interacting with each other. The molecules of hexane are interacting among each other. And third type of interaction is between the molecule of hexane and heptane. Means there are three type of interactions. Interaction between the molecules of hexane and heptane, between hexane and hexane, and heptane. So the magnitude means the strength. Magnitude here in terms of strength, the strength of all the three type of interactions should be same. If all the interactions, or if the strength of all the interactions or the magnitude of all the interactions is same, then we say that such solution obeys the Raoult's law and such solution is an ideal solution. But in actual practice, there is no ideal solution. Like there is no perfect person, in the same way, there is no ideal solution. But most of the solutions, some solutions, I should not say most, some of the solutions, they are obeying the Raoult's law to a maximum extent, and hence such solutions can be considered under the ideal solution. And some of the examples are of hexane and heptane, benzene and methyl benzene, chloroethane and bromoethane. These three liquids, these six liquids I should say, when hexane is interacting with heptane, it behaves as an ideal solution, mostly behaves as an ideal solution. Similarly, when we mix benzene and methyl benzene, again it forms an ideal solution, near about my ideal solution, and again chloroethane and bromoethane also forms a near about ideal solution. And so whenever, if the solutions are obeying the Raoult's law and behaving like an ideal solution, then the plot, if we plot a graph between the vapor pressure and the mole fraction, we should get a straight line passing through the origin, and it will be of the type y is equals to mx and y is equals to mx plus c. So this is an ideal solution. Now let's see what do we mean by the non-ideal solution, because maximum of the solutions behave in a non-ideal manner. Okay, so let's see. The solutions that do not obey the Raoult's law over the entire range of concentration are said to be the non-ideal solutions. Now these non-ideal solutions, again in the same, it will not obey the Raoult's law, means the delta H of mixing will not be equal to 0 in case of non-ideal solution, and delta V of mixing will also be not equal to 0. And the type of interactions will be different, or the magnitude of the different types of interactions will be different. Now in this non-ideal solutions, it is generally observed that it shows these type of interactions, means the AB, AA, BB, AB. The same type of interactions takes place here also, but the magnitude of each type of interaction differs from one another for a non-ideal solution. And because of this, the non-ideal solutions shows two types of deviations, that is positive deviation and negative deviation. Let us see what does this mean by positive and negative deviation. First, let us see positive deviation. Now, in positive deviation, what is happening? First, let us see over here. Now, we know that three types of interaction takes place when the two liquids are mixed. AA type means the molecules of both one type of liquid, the molecules of second type of liquid interacting among each other, and the molecules of liquid 1 interacting with the molecules of liquid 2. Now, when the interaction between the molecule of A and the molecule of B is weaker, the strength of this interaction or the force or the bond between this interaction is weaker as compared to the AA or BB type of interaction, then we get a deviation which is called as a positive deviation. The interaction between A and B is weaker than the AA and BB type interaction. And if the interaction between A and B is stronger as compared to AA and BB, or the magnitude of AB interaction is higher, I should say magnitude, the magnitude of A and B interaction is higher than AA and BB, then such type of solutions gives negative deviations. Now let us see what does this mean by positive deviation and negative deviation. So in the positive deviation, as I have said, that the molecule interaction is weaker. Molecule interaction will be weaker, so higher amount of pressure will be created, and thus here the vapor pressure of the component A will be greater. It should be equal to the vapor pressure of pure component into its mole fraction. But in this case, since it is weaker, so it will evaporate very easily, and hence the partial pressure of the component A will be greater than the partial pressure of the pure component into the mole fraction. Also, the vapor pressure of the component B will be again higher than the vapor pressure of the pure component B into its mole fraction. And since both these are higher, therefore delta H of mixing will be greater than 0, and delta V of mixing will be again greater than 0, means the difference will not be equal to 0. The initial temperature minus the final temperature, or the minus heat exchange, it is nothing but the enthalpy. So the enthalpy of the initial state minus the final state, or the final state minus initial state, will be greater than 0. Then again the volume will be also greater than 0. The difference in the volume will be again greater than 0, and it will not be equal to 0. So some of the examples of positive deviations are when we mix methanol with water or chloroform with carbon tetrachloride. So these two generally shows the positive deviation. Now let's move to what is this deviation. Deviation means actually, according to the Raoult's law, the behavior that is expected by the two solutions is that they should be an ideal solution, and if we plot a graph of vapor pressure versus the mole fraction, then we should get a straight line passing through the origin. But actually it doesn't happen, And in positive deviations, we get the value. Since this PA is greater, so though it will not pass through, it will pass through the origin, but it will show a positive deviation, means the higher value as compared to the ideal solution. Ideal solutions is expected to behave like this, but since this solution gives the higher value of vapor pressure, so the P1 is higher than what is expected. Again, P2 is also a higher as expected, and thus the P total, so total vapor pressure, since P1 and P2 both become higher, P total is also higher than as expected. So such type of deviations where the P total value is greater than what is expected is known as the positive deviation. Now let's see what is negative deviation. Now in negative deviation, as I said, the molecules of A interact with B in a have a higher magnitude, and hence the vapor pressure created by A and B will be less than that is expected from it. So less amount of molecules will get vaporized, and hence the partial pressure of A, which should be equal, is not equal but less than the partial pressure of the component A into the mole fraction. So the value of PA is less than XA into PA naught, and value of PB is also less than XB into PB naught. And in this case, delta H of mixing is also less than 0, means it is negative, and delta B of mixing will also be less than 0, and hence it will also be negative. The intermolecular interaction, we can see here in this case, this is acetone and chloroform. Then when we react these two, they generally show negative type of deviation. Why? Because of this hydrogen bond. The hydrogen bond is formed between the oxygen of the acetone and hydrogen of the chloroform, and due to which the magnitude of these interaction increases and the vapors are formed in a or the magnitude is higher, therefore the partial vapor pressure is lower. If we plot a graph between the vapor pressure and the mole fraction, then we can see that the P1 and P2 are less than what is expected by the ideal solution. So if now, since this green line shows the ideal behavior, so this P1 and P2 are less, the vapor pressure values of P1 and P2, both the component 1 and 2 are less than as expected by them, and hence the total vapor pressure is also less. So this type of deviation in which the expected value is higher than what we have got is called as the negative deviation. Let us compare both these, and examples of negative deviations are phenol and aniline, and chloroform and diethyl ether also shows the negative deviation. So if we compare both these deviation, positive and negative, then we can see that the P total value for positive deviation is higher than what is expected by the ideal solution, and the P total value in the negative deviation is lower than that expected by the ideal solution. So this is all about the positive and the negative deviations and the Raoult's law and the Dalton's law. So in the next video, we will see the colligative properties and the further part of this chapter. Hope you have understood this the topics which I have covered today. Meet you in the next video. Okay, bye bye. Thank you.